Meg Ryan is remembering her late friend and collaborator, Rob Reiner. Meg taking to Instagram December 17th in tribute to the late director and his wife Michelle, who both died December 14th.
Just a week before his shocking loss, Rob Reiner shared a deeply personal truth with Meg Ryan, something he had never revealed about his family. In this video, we dive into the moments leading up to that confession, the heartfelt reflections from Meg Ryan, and the powerful tributes from Hollywood that reveal the man behind the camera, his love, and his legacy. Meg Ryan remembers. A friendship beyond the screen. On December 17th, Meg Ryan took to Instagram, sharing a tribute that seemed to carry both grief and reverence. The post was quiet yet piercing, a black and white photograph of herself and Rob Reiner dancing, frozen in a moment that belonged to another time. It captured more than a memory. It hinted at the depth of a friendship that had endured decades. In her reflections, Ryan traced the contours of a life guided by belief, in love, in laughter, in the improbable yet vital faith in humanity. She painted Rob and Michelle not merely as figures in Hollywood's spotlight, but as people who carried a profound hope for the world around them. Even as tragedy had shattered the present, she suggested that their story might still echo forward, leaving lessons for those left behind.
Oh, how we will miss this man. Thank you, Rob and Michelle, for the way you believe in true love, in fairy tales, and in laughter. Thank you for your faith in the best in people, and for your profound love for our country. Meg adding, I have to believe that their story will not end with this impossible tragedy, that some good may come, some awareness raised. I don't know, but my guess is that they would want that to be hopeful and humane, to be something that brings us all to a greater understanding of one another and to some peace.
Her connection to Reiner had begun in 1989, on the set of When Harry Met Sally, a film that would become a defining work in both their lives. The set had been a crucible of creativity and chance. It was there that Reiner met Michelle, a meeting that altered not just a film, but the course of his personal life. The original ending of the movie, in which Harry and Sally did not come together, was quietly rewritten, reshaped by the sudden gravity of real love emerging behind the camera. Ryan's post carried the weight of history, yet it was tethered to the present. It was a reminder that friendships in Hollywood, often dismissed as fleeting, could endure with a quiet intensity. She suggested, without stating it outright, that Rob and Michelle's impact would persist, not only through the films he directed, but through the lives he touched, and the standards he set for believing in something greater. Even in mourning, the photograph and her words framed a narrative of enduring hope, a reflection on the way human connection, once formed, resists erasure. When Harry Met Sally, more than a film. When Harry Met Sally had long been celebrated as a touchstone of romantic comedy, yet behind its polished exterior lay a network of relationships that shaped every scene. On set, the collaboration between Meg Ryan, Billy Crystal, and Rob Reiner was meticulous, layered with trust and careful attention to timing. Each gesture, each pause, carried the imprint of a director attuned to both performance and nuance. The film's iconic scenes, like the famous sequence at Katz's Deli, were not simply scripted moments. They emerged from careful observation and subtle guidance. Ryan, decades later, revisited that location in a social media reel, a quiet acknowledgement of the film's enduring resonance and the invisible hand that had shaped it. The laughter, the pauses, the rhythm of dialogue, all bore the signature of Reiner's presence, his insistence that truth in performance demanded both freedom and structure.
Rob Reiner's inner circle is in mourning. 2 days after the When Harry Met Sally director and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, were found murdered in their Los Angeles home, Billy Crystal and more of the couple's close friends have come together to release a joint tribute.
Yet the creative process was inseparable from the personal. Reiner's connection to Michelle, first sparked on this very set, influenced not only the energy on camera, but the trajectory of the story itself. The original ending, in which Harry and Sally remained apart, was quietly rewritten, reflecting the director's newfound understanding of love as it touched his own life. What began as a professional collaboration became entwined with the personal, illustrating how art and life often mirrored one another. Every decision, every nuance, seemed to carry layers of intention. Reiner's approach was neither intrusive nor arbitrary. It was a careful orchestration that respected the actor's instincts while guiding the narrative toward authenticity. The result was a film that appeared effortless, yet was built upon countless choices, many invisible to audiences. When Harry Met Sally endured not only because of its script or performances, but because it encapsulated a moment where human connection, on screen and behind it, shaped art in ways that would echo for decades. Hollywood Speaks, a legacy celebrated. In the days following the public outpouring of grief, voices from across Hollywood began to converge, forming a chorus that measured the breadth of Rob Reiner's influence. Billy Crystal, Larry David, Martin Short, Albert Brooks, Michael Douglas, Demi Moore, Stephen King, Paul McCartney, and many others reflected on a life defined not only by success, but by a rare capacity to elevate those around him.
Lee's wife, Janice Crystal. The statement reads in part, absorbing all he had learned from his father, Carl Reiner, and his mentor, Norman Lear, Rob Reiner not only was a great comic actor, he became a master storyteller. There is no other director who has his range. From comedy to drama to mockumentary to documentary, he was always at the top of his game. He charmed audiences. They trusted him. They lined up to see his films.
Reiner was remembered as a master storyteller, a figure whose range traversed the spectrum of human emotion. Comedy and drama, mockumentary and documentary, all bore his signature, a careful calibration that made the extraordinary seem effortless. Colleagues spoke not only of his technical skill, but of his instinct for collaboration, a principle that shaped every set he led. The recurring theme in these tributes was freedom. Those who worked with him recalled that ideas were never dismissed, that creativity was nurtured rather than dictated. His greatest gift was freedom, they observed. If you had an idea, he listened. He brought you into the process. They always felt they were working as a team. The emphasis was not on authority, but on shared purpose, a trust that allowed actors, writers, and crew alike to shape the work alongside him. Even as the tributes praised his versatility, they also acknowledged a quieter, human dimension, the way Reiner's presence could transform an environment. His attention to dialogue, his insistence on nuance, his encouragement of experimentation, all left indelible marks on those who spent time under his direction. Hollywood mourned not merely a filmmaker, but a force that fostered excellence, empathy, and respect. In reflecting on his legacy, colleagues suggested that Reiner's life was measured not only in films completed or accolades earned, but in the ways he touched others, leaving a blueprint for how artistry and humanity could coexist on every set he commanded. Kathy Bates, how Rob Reiner changed lives. Kathy Bates recalled Rob Reiner not just as a director, but as a pivotal force in her life. Her tribute traced the trajectory of a career altered by his guidance, a path that might have diverged entirely without his intervention. Working with Reiner on Misery had demanded precision, intensity, and vulnerability, qualities he recognized and nurtured, allowing her to inhabit a role that would define her career.
Rob changed the course of my life. And if he hadn't, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you now. When I look back over the last 35 years since we made Misery, I realized that if I hadn't done Misery, it would be like George Bailey going back and seeing what his life would have been like.
Her reflection often returned to the notion of contingency, the fragile lines between success and obscurity. She imagined a life without Reiner, invoking "It's a Wonderful Life" as a lens through which to measure absence. In that imagining, the richness of her professional and personal life, friendships formed, opportunities seized, recognition earned, might never have existed. The analogy was stark, a reminder that mentorship could alter not just a career, but the shape of a life. Reiner's influence extended far beyond scripts and cameras. His attentiveness fostered trust. His insistence on collaboration cultivated confidence. Actors, writers, and crew were not simply participants. They became collaborators, empowered by a director who believed that every contribution had weight. His presence was a constant reminder that creativity flourished in spaces where respect and encouragement intersected with discipline and craft. Bates's account underscored a broader truth. Reiner's legacy could not be measured solely by awards or box office success. It lived in the careers he shaped, the lives he touched, and the enduring culture of mentorship he exemplified. In Hollywood, where brilliance often intersects with volatility, Reiner's approach was both rare and transformative, a model of how guidance, empathy, and exacting artistry could coexist to elevate those around him. Even in remembrance, his impact resonated. Bates's tribute painted a portrait not only of a director, but of a life that shaped countless others, leaving traces of care, wisdom, and opportunity that persisted long after the cameras stopped rolling. Even as the cameras fade and the applause quiets, Rob and Michelle Reiner's story lingers, reminding us that influence is measured not only in fame, but in the lives we shape, the love we nurture, and the humanity we leave behind. Their legacy is both luminous and fragile, a reflection of how connection and creativity endure beyond tragedy. How do we honor those who taught us to live fully, love deeply, and create fearlessly? Share your thoughts below.